Hello, I'm Brittany, and today I wanted to share a little music sampler prototype that I built with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the Tone.js library. Before we dive into the code, though, let's check it out. So you can't see my file viewer, but I am selecting a audio file and clicking produces sound. Also, pressing the keyboard produces sound. You can also switch out the sounds. Let's get a little crazy. All right, let's dive into the code. What is Tone.js? It is a web audio framework for creating interactive music in the browser. They have great documentation, and I found it rather frictionless for my first time using the library, so definitely recommend it. I made use of their sampler class, which, given an object containing the URL of an audio file, returns an object that allows you to do all sorts of things to the tone, like repitching it, which I took advantage of in this project. Let's take a look. So I started off with creating the visual component of this project, the little piano or MIDI controller in this case, and I decided how many keys to include by referencing this cute little image that I found on Dribble. And I made a div for each of the keys where I included the class name to indicate that it was in fact a key and which color the key was, whether it's white or black. I also added custom data attributes, which I call data key, with the key code of the key that I intended to be able to press that key. So for example, the first key I wanted to press with the letter A, so I included a data key property with the value 65. To top it all off, I added an input element, the file type kind, and restricted it to only accept audio files. Now moving on to the style sheet. I aligned everything to be center and just added a background color and some padding to the input element to set it apart. For the piano, I set the display to flex on the parent and align everything in a row. And I added min widths and heights to the keys, which made all of the keys the same size at first, the size of what the current black keys are. I then set the size of the white keys by adding another min height. To position the black keys to look like a piano, I gave it a position of relative, and a z-index of 1 to bring it up a layer, and a right value of 25. And so all of this made sure that the element was still positioned according to like the normal flow of the document, but is offset relative to itself. And this made sure that it didn't affect the other elements on the page, basically the white keys, which is exactly what I needed. I just wanted the white keys to stay where they were and just have the black keys on top. And to finish it off, I had 2 additional styles for when the white keys and black keys are pressed, and these are going to be applied dynamically using JavaScript. So now let's go to the functionality. Let's start at the bottom of the script where I first get all the keys and add the event listeners for the animations to them. The first is an on-click event, which adds the classes for the animation, and the second is for when the animation ends and I can remove the classes that are applying the CSS. Next element I grabbed is the input element, which will take our audio files in. I added an event listener for changes, which will pick up the phone when the user selects a file. But yeah, let's go look at this handle upload function. You'll see me using the keyword this all up in here, and this is just referring to the input element that was passed into the function upon calling the function. I first checked to see if there are any files uploaded. This .files refers to a special object called a file list, and if there are none, I return so that the code below doesn't break. I then call dispose, which is a method on the sampler object, and this gets rid of any previous sampler data so we can start from fresh. And now, the exciting part, I create a new sampler with the file that was passed in. Now, 2 things are happening here. To the left, C0 refers to the middle C note on a piano, and I'm assigning the audio passed in to our app to that tone by default. Secondly, I'm using the create object URL method to create a string that contains an object URL for the object I'm passing in. And it looks like this if you log in. The file list does contain the name of the file, but we want to tell the sampler exactly where this data is. Now, this may be controversial, but I created two objects for convenience. One that maps key codes to notes, and the other that maps notes to the key element. And although it takes up a little bit of space, I thought it was worth it so that I could instantly access the data that I was looking for. So going back to the handle upload function, for each note, I add a listener for the on-click event. So when the element is clicked, we trigger the sound to play. Next, I add an event listener for when a key of the keyboard is pressed. So let's go to handle press. Where is that? Right below. So this gets the key code from the event and uses the other mapping that I mentioned, the key to note one, to grab the key, which we pass in again to the trigger attack function, which plays the sound. I also apply the same animation here by using the apply method so that I can pass in my own value for this. And I'm checking to make sure that the key that was pressed has a data key attribute that exists before passing it in. Yeah. And yeah, I guess there you have it. This was a fun little prototype of an audio sampler made with not too many lines of code. And I hope this inspires you to do some creative coding for yourself. The last thing I'll do is do a little demo. So you can click the keys, or you can use your keyboard. You can switch out the sound for a new sound.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's pretty fun. So yeah, anyway, again, I hope this inspires you to do some creative coding for yourself. And thank you for watching this entire video. How awesome are you?